Almost exactly a year ago I had a stroke, which effectively knocked me out for a while. As you can see, I'm not completely recovered because this eye is still in the corner, although in 2 weeks' time I'm getting an operation to try and tie it back. So I'll make another video just to sort of see what difference that's made. Hopefully it'll have improved it, because at the moment my eyes are a little bit dodgy. But I had the stroke and I've almost recovered fully. I thought what might be useful is to give you an indication as to what happened in the process. Now, at the time that I had the stroke, I was at a company called Siemens at their headquarters in Frimley, and I had delivered an opening keynote at a speech. I was just sort of preparing to give my closing keynote when apparently I had the stroke in that process. Now, the guy who organised the conference was a guy called Matt Wood from the Institute of Fire Engineers, who saw me before whilst I was preparing my closing keynote, and then saw me immediately afterwards when I just had my stroke, and he was sort of saying, something weird has happened to you, Marcus. But at the time that I had my stroke, I was phoned up my office to say something's wrong. This is what my colleague Jen reported, and this is because I asked her to make a video, and this is a video that she made.
About 3:15, and he phoned and spoke to me and said, "Jen, don't laugh, but I think something's happened to me." And Marcus quite often plays tricks like that on people, so I laughed and said, "Stop being silly, what do you want?" And he said, no, I'm being serious. How do I get a presentation on a big screen? So I said, well, F5. Try pressing Control F5, Marcus. And he said, "What's F5? I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Jen, I think something serious has happened to me. I think I've had a stroke." And I said, "Well, Marcus, if you've had a stroke, then you don't need to be giving a presentation. You need to get yourself to hospital." And he said, no, I've got to give a presentation. I've got 2 minutes. How do I get onto the screen? What's F5? So I said, "Marcus, it's the buttons along the top of the keyboard." And he said, "I can't see F. What is it?" So in the end, we had to count in 6 buttons. I said, "Press, it's the 6th button along from the left-hand side." He said, "I can't do it, I can't find it."
I also went back a week or so after my stroke, and I asked Matt Wood to record what it was like from his side, and this is what he had to say.
Very interesting. And it was interesting for me because I'm first aid trained, but I've done a theory behind strokes and stuff, but in practice, you're not textbook. You know, you weren't a textbook stroke victim, really. Not everything that I've read and done. It's quite scary because it happened in less than 30 seconds. So I think I made a note somewhere that at 3:31, I popped in to see you because the other 2 guys were going to finish at 3:45, so you had 10 minutes to go. And at 3, and I popped in, and then I popped out, and I popped back in again. It was 3:32 or 3:33, you know, so a minute and a half maybe, and then. So less than 2 minutes from, dare I say, normal to changed.
Gosh.
So as the crow flies, 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes really. And I was just walking from one room across the corridor to another, so really quick. And you said that you think a fuse has popped. That was your phrase. Like a 13 amp fuse in a plug. You were confused and standing next to the window trying to get a signal on your phone. I think he's probably talking to Jen at that point. But the laptop was open, but nothing was going on. You held your laptop, your Mac thing out, and at that point you said, "I don't know what to do." So I said, "Well, just wing it," thinking you hadn't got a plan for the close-up speech. So I said, "Well, we'll just wing it, you know. I don't know, wing it and make something up. It doesn't matter." And he said, "No, I don't know what to do. I don't know, like, open, close, open. I don't know what to do with this thing." And so it was like a laptop like that. I don't know. At that point, the security guy came up with the 2 reception girls, and then he took over. He stepped in at that point, and then sort of stood in front of you, held onto your wrist very loosely and kind of must have done some first aid scanning of your face or your condition and stuff. And he said, "So I think you've had a stroke. We need to get you over the way." And then you went off. I had to wrap up the day, get all my stuff together, and then raced over to Siemens. I got into reception, and when I got there, you had already been admitted. So I explained who I was, and then I was allowed in.
I asked Matt if there were any symptoms, some obvious symptoms, which he could pass on to other people, so that if they were in the same situation as he was at the time, that he could give some advice.
You were then in a cubicle, and there were lots of people sort of coming around, and at this point, they hadn't told you you'd had a stroke yet, but you were asking questions like, you know, why, this isn't good, all these people around me, this isn't right. And it was at that point that I noticed your eyes, and I said, they all went out of the room to have a chat, as doctors do. So at that point I said, "Can I just ask you about your eye? Because I've only ever seen you once before, and I know you've got this odd eye." And you said, "Well, how bad is it?" So I took a photo of it with my phone, turned it around, and you went, "Yeah, that's really bad." Because I didn't know what's good or bad. I've never, I haven't paid that much attention.
When I was in hospital, the first element was in intensive care. So Alison, my partner, was visiting me. This is what she had to say when she first came to see me.
And then when I arrived, you were being assessed by, I think she was probably quite a senior nurse because she was filling in all the forms and things. And then the consultant arrived. Matthew stayed the whole time, which was good. And she was testing all your reflexes and your vision. And it was the vision that what concerned you a lot, because you lost your peripheral vision in one side in particular, which was a concern because of driving.
Yeah.
And seeing. You couldn't see your phone, let alone know how to use it.
Yeah.
So.
Really, I couldn't see it.
Well, no, you couldn't see the numbers. You couldn't actually relate the numbers. So, what is a number 3? You couldn't relate what the picture of a 3 was to what a number 3 was. So nothing related. So, yeah, you didn't know your numbers, you wouldn't know your letters, you couldn't read, you couldn't do any of these things. So, and newspapers was nothing like that. Although you wanted to see them because of gradually learning.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
Must have been quite scary.
Yeah.
After I got released from intensive care and I was in the step-down ward, I asked Alison to record some things about me trying to tell the time and even looking at colours. This is what she recorded when I was trying to tell the time. So that's 10 to 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? 10 to 1. God. Okay, it's going to take me a long time to learn the bloody time. That's just pathetic. Okay, so I'm going to have to learn the time.
The other thing is, the arms should be the other way round.
What do you mean the other way around?
Well, the big arm would be the 10-2.
What do you mean 10-2?
The little hand is the hour, and the big hand is the minutes.
So 10, that would be this one.
Yeah,
10-2-1.
yeah,
So it'd be 10-2-1.
yeah.
God, that doesn't look right.
It does look a bit strange.
Yeah, well, I've got
It could be
them all
10-2.
Well, it could be 10 to...
Could be anything.
For me, as far as I'm concerned, it can't be 10-2 anything. Right. Okay, so I'm going to have to learn the bloody time. Okay. That's it. As you can see, I wasn't very good at telling the time. In fact, I really didn't know how clocks worked or in what direction. I couldn't work out how to draw the clock face or where to put the hands. But at the same time, I could detect that something was wrong with my ability to detect colours. So Alison gave me a couple of exercises. This is how those worked.
And what colour are your pyjamas?
Green.
Yes. And what colour is the chair?
This bit is a sort of a brownish.
Yes.
This bit is a sort of a pinkish reddish.
Yes.
Hey.
Okay, let's find something more complicated.
No, that's all right. So I've got
What
it.
about... You have got it.
As you can see now, I can do colour. Well, maybe you can't see, but I can do colour now, and I understand colours completely. One of the things which really got in the way was my ability to read, and I recorded 4 weeks after my stroke how it felt just to try and read, and this is what I recorded 4 weeks after my stroke. And here's my explanation. Imagine you get a great big large bowl of Coca-Cola and it's fizzing away, and into that bowl you place some letters, and those letters, you know, could form words. And when you look through this Coca-Cola at the letters, they're all fizzing around and all moving, and that's what it was like. It's like everything was moving and buzzing around, and I knew there were words there, but I just couldn't make them out. So overall, in conclusion, I don't think we have to be too worried about the sheer reality of having a stroke. Although I have to tell you that when my friends got to hear that I'd had a stroke, quite a few sent real letters of condolence and what a shame, and oh, he was a great guy before his stroke. What a terrible loss to, always one of those loss to mankind type things. I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to show that it's not as bad as people might think. But actually, you do have to work at it, and you do have to work quite hard. I did lots and lots and lots of exercises, especially on the reading and on just being able to track objects. I found it very difficult to track objects, and so I was stumbling a bit. And so I recorded as much as I could. But I hope this is of some use to people, that just because somebody's had a stroke, even though it might be a bad one, and they don't know who you are, and they can't talk properly, and they can't do colour, and they can't tell the time, it is possible to recover, and recover quite quickly, because I pretty well recovered within those 4 weeks, or at least fairly substantially. Now you can tell the difference between me talking now and how I was then, and if you ignore the I, then maybe there's hope for all of us. So thank you for listening to this.